Tim Legler is alongside, and this is sort of talk radio, just two guys chopping it up here, because what I see here is a couple of undeniably talented players who are in places where apparently neither wishes to be any longer. And so I'm asking, from your perspective, Tim, can you make a case for either side saying, here, you take my talented problem for your talented problem?
Certainly makes sense to me on the standpoint of the Brooklyn Nets. And that's the one team I look at with Ben Simmons and I say, you know what, they have what's in place around him to protect him from his weaknesses and accentuate what he does well. He could provide something for them that they specifically need. One of the best defensive perimeter players in the NBA, a playmaker to create easy shots, not only for the stars but for role players. You still have to figure out the end of the game with him on the floor and what he's going to do. And he's obviously going to have a different role because he's not going to be handling the ball all the time. But he absolutely brings value in a way that is needed with that team. And you have enough offense left with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving that should be able to get you through it. You know, the other way, a little bit harder sell for me. When I look at the style of play that is best suited for Joel Embiid and what James Harden is going to bring to that offense. And obviously, you can't deny the talent. And some nights he's still unstoppable, although not every night. I see him now have nights where he is guardable. And maybe that's just decline, that's age, that's attrition of injuries, whatever it may be. Maybe it's motivation, lack thereof. I don't know in the situation he's in. But the offense is going to be a lot different. It's going to slow down. It's going to be a lot more ISO heavy. James Harden has never really played with a guy like this as a big. He's a guy that gets assists in terms of get into the lane, kick out for threes, or get into the lane, throw lobs to that four-man that's not an offensive threat that's diving to the rim, or like a Clint Capella type. He's never played with a guy like this, and I wonder what the disruption will be to Joel Embiid's rhythm, who right now has been the best player in the NBA for the last 2 months.
Clearly, you've been making the case, and it's a good one, that he's been an MVP, or the MVP, I should say. And the Harden thing, to me, has a secondary layer. He didn't want to be in Houston. Okay. Superstars, other than Simmons, have been able to force their way out. Now he doesn't want to be in Brooklyn. Now I'm supposed to give you how much? 200 and something million in your mid-30s? And when are you going to tell me you don't want to play here? You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like that has to be part of this that would be concerning. I get the Morey-Harden connection, but how much pause would that give you?
It's the overwhelming thought process in the NBA that you'd never have enough. And if you're Doc Rivers looking at this team, no matter how good Joel Embiid has been, I don't think anybody looks at that team and the rest of that roster and says, this is enough to win a championship this year. It just doesn't look that way, and Doc Rivers knows it. So. And Daryl Morey knows it. And you got this guy out there. You've got an asset sitting at home that's going to basically waste away for an entire season if you don't make this specific trade.
That's what I'm saying.
And now you bring in a guy like Harden, and it gives you that status, that name power, that talent that at least makes you feel like you can compete with the Milwaukees of the world, the Brooklyns, the Miamis of the world, and have a legitimate opportunity. So it's that trap mindset of never having enough talent, and James Harden clearly represents more talent than what you currently have.
And that's the point. If you're Philly and you think, well, Simmons is never going to play for us again, and if you're Brooklyn, you think, well, Harden could end up being with Philadelphia next year anyway, well, at least we get something. I get all that. It's just, it's a lot to process here. And if nothing happens and Durant gets healthy and Irving is able to play games and they win a title, then guess what they get to say in the end? It worked.
Yeah, see, you hit the nail on the head. The bottom line is if nothing happens, one team has enough on paper to still make a legitimate run at the whole thing. Philadelphia does not. And there's a lot of frustration, I think, in the city of Philadelphia if this does not go down. And particularly if Ben Simmons is just going to sit home all season, a guy in his prime that's not hurt. And is an all-star caliber player, and you got nothing back in return to help Joel Embiid in a season in which he may end up being the MVP of the league, and you don't even get maybe to the conference finals.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.